Well, just over 5 weeks into the schedule, here we go, talking about the 5 most disappointing teams in the NBA thus far. Subscribe if you like sports, but here we go right away. Number 5, we're going with the Minnesota Timberwolves. This team is 4-13, definitely the worst team in the Western Conference. And listen, I get it, Karl Anthony Towns has only played 4 games, but you still have D'Angelo Russell. You should not be 4-13. And you could say, like, yo, they only played 17 games. Stop making a big deal of their record, but the Wolves have played just like their record. They have a minus 9.7 point differential, which is definitely the worst in the NBA right now. You drafted the number 1 overall pick in Anthony Edwards. You have Malik Beasley, a young, underrated 24-year-old balling out. And you have D'Angelo Russell, who we know he can make an all-star team. Should not be 4-13. Hopefully, Cat comes back from COVID strong. I do not like to see the Timberwolves, with one of my favorite players, D'Angelo Russell, being at the bottom of the West for a second straight year. They were 14th last year. There's no real other bad teams in the West. There's like some kind of subpar teams like the Kings, but I don't see the Timberwolves passing anybody. The 2018-19 season 2 years ago was the last year for Tom Thibodeau, the head coach in Minnesota. It seems like someone needs to light a fire under them, because ever since he left, they have just not been winning basketball. All right, number 4. We have the Miami Heat, who have gone 6-11 this season, coming off of a run to the NBA Finals. Listen, you're like, yo, they have had injuries, and I completely am aware that's why they're not higher. If they did not have injuries, yeah, they would definitely be number 1, because 6-11, that's pretty brutal for after going to the NBA Finals. But hey, we'll put them at 4 because they have had injuries. They've had injuries, but not enough injuries for them to just not be on this list. Because listen, Jimmy Butler has played in 6 out of their 17 games only. Hero's played in 10 out of their 17 games. But dang, they have a negative 5.8 point differential per game. That means that they're playing a little bit even. They're kind of playing more like a 5-12 team, not gonna lie. The Heat are like 13th in the East right now, and it looks very weird. We might see a team that went to the NBA Finals and brings back the same exact core, just casually placed at like a 7 seed. You never know. Obviously, there's time for them to move up, and right now, like the 7 through 13 in the East is very jumbled. If I had to make a prediction right now, I don't know. I would say the Heat are going to finish 6th or 7th in the East. All right, the 3rd most disappointing team, that's the Toronto Raptors, who are up to a 7-11 start to the year. Now, the Raptors, differently than the last 2 teams, are actually playing a lot better than the record. They have a plus 0.5 point differential, but in the end, for a veteran team, especially like the Raptors, closing out games that's part of the business here. I mean, winning games is what you got to do. And 7-11 is like, listen, it's not like a horrific record. You just had 2 games swing your way and you would be 9-9. But when you're 7-11 and you were the 2 seed last year and you didn't lose any stars, that's definitely notable. Listen, I knew the Raptors would be a little bit worse. I had them coming 6th in the East this year after they were 2 last year, but it looks like they'll maybe be worse than 6th. Though at the same time, if I were to predict off the top of my head, I would have the Raptors moving up. I'd say them and the Heat will probably be maybe 6 and 7. Because yeah, that would leave the Bucks, the Nets, the Sixers, the Celtics, and the Pacers probably to get the 5th spot. Why should the Raptors be worse? Because they lost Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol, 2 players who are not stars but did have impacts. So that the number 2 most disappointing team in the NBA season so far, that's the New Orleans Pelicans. This is the year that the Pelicans were finally supposed to win, finally supposed to make the playoffs post-AD. I shouldn't say finally, like calm down, there's only the 2nd season post-AD. But finally returned to the playoffs. They were in the playoffs the last time in 2018. They missed it the last 2 years. And this was supposed to be the year. They're healthy, they're fully healthy, and they're 6-10. What could I say? You have Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson. You added Steven Adams to the mix. And listen, I do not like that trade that the Pelicans made in the offseason. They got rid of Drew Holiday, sent them to the Bucks, impact player for the Bucks, just to get George Hill and Eric Bledsoe, 2 just players. I feel like the Pelicans really might be lacking leadership. And the number 1 most disappointing team, I would say that it's pretty clear. That's the Washington Wizards. You have 2 stars, Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal, and you're 3-11, man. Westbrook has played in 9 of the 14 Wizard games this year. They missed a little bit of time with COVID, and their center, Thomas Bryant, got a partially torn ACL. So, you know, there's some reasons to go along with it, but at the end of the day, you're 3-11 and you have 2 All-Stars, so not acceptable. Differently than the Heat and the Raptors, I definitely do not see the Wizards making the playoffs. And man, they're I don't know what to say. I don't know the direction of their franchise. Because you have stars, but in the end, you're a lottery team. It's just really unique to see a team who has multiple superstars be this like bad of a team. I want the Wizards to make the playoffs. Like, there's no more fun 8th seed team than the Wizards. Like, I don't want to see it be like the Magic. Though, like, who knows? Maybe I'll make a video on like surprising teams that may actually make the playoffs. And like, I would say not the Knicks, but the Cavaliers have a real shot to make the playoffs in the East this year. And remember, guys, we have the 10 teams, like 8 are in the real playoffs, but the 7 seed plays the 10 seed. All right, so if you guys are unaware, in both conferences this year, the 7 seed hosts the 10 seed. The 10 seed will have to win 2 in a row in order to advance to the playoffs. And same with 8 and 9. The 9 seed will have to visit the 8 seed, and the 9 seed will have to win 2 straight. The higher seed will only have to win 1. So it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be interesting to see if you would say on a normal year, maybe like one out of those 4 would actually happen, where the lower seed won 2 in a row on the road to advance to the playoffs. Just kind of an interesting thing, though I can't quite say I like it, because that literally means like 20 teams will still be involved after the regular season. Technically, it's not playoffs in these, they're play-in games. But hey, it adds intrigue for sure. But in the end, I can't quite say I love it, because what you're doing kind of is making the championship contenders maybe lose their rhythm a bit headed into the playoffs by it's going to be maybe an extra 3 or 4 days that they'll have off. So it'll really be like almost a week break for like the non-play-in game teams who are in the playoffs till they start their actual playoffs from the end of the regular season. It'll probably be like a week. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Had a very fun time with this vid. And if you're new here, be sure to subscribe, tap that like button, make a lot more videos. We have maybe surprising teams coming, top 5 surprising teams, we'll see, but a bunch of MLB, NBA, and NFL concept videos on this channel. So yeah, tap that bell, don't miss it. Follow me on Instagram. I'll have the username in the description.